So you are going to love today's interview with my buddy Aaron. And he talks about the importance of writing books and becoming an author and the power of all of that, as well as podcasting. And it's something that him and I talk about because we both have business podcasts. But above all else, if you guys haven't heard yet, I have an incredible free Facebook community called Network Marketing Leads for Life. I do private trainings there that are free where I give you guys tips and takeaways of how to build your network marketing business by being genuine, authentic, and showing up every day. So all you have to do is hop onto Facebook, search Network Marketing Leads for Life, fill out the questions to join, and I'll see you in there, and enjoy today's episode. Welcome to the Network Marketing Made Simple podcast. I am your host, Scott Aaron, and each and every week I'm going to come to you with short, simple, and powerful tactics of how you can grow your network marketing business, brand, bank account, and impact on those around you. And just remember, network marketing is not easy, but it can be made easy with simple steps to create the success that you truly deserve. So Aaron, welcome to today's episode. Grateful to have you here.
Hey, thanks so much, Scott. Happy to be here, man. Excited.
So obviously I had the opportunity to be on your podcast, which I was totally stoked about. And you're doing some great things, obviously in the podcast world and the, authors and writing world. So obviously people are seeing what you're doing now. What was that moment for you that lit that entrepreneurial spark that has kind of taken you down this path that you've been on?
Yeah, good question, man. I've been on this journey for quite a while. I feel like I grew up, my dad was an entrepreneur, had a business from a very young age, so saw that and had a very successful company. So I always felt like, hey, there was a possibility for that. And, I did go the more traditional route. I went to college, got my bachelor's and master's degree. And, but I always had it in me thinking, I could start a business. And I started off doing things like investing in property, and I started, getting rental properties. And I even opened a surf, similar to your story. Sounds like yours was much bigger, but I had a surf-inspired gym in Huntington Beach, California. So I owned and operated that, and that was a lot of fun. Did a lot of surfing out in Huntington there, and I think my journey now has come from something that happened to me a little over 5 years ago, where I got really, really sick. I got diagnosed with a chronic bowel disease called Crohn's, and the short story of it was I took just some big steps. I had been in the fitness world, like that health side of me felt like I could do something more than just take medication. And I did. I went medication free and got symptom free in just a few months after taking some very specific actions, changing my lifestyle. And then from there, it led me to wanting to help others. As I wrote and documented what I did, I wrote a book called Conquest. And it was kind of this jumping point for me to really want to help others share their stories. I feel like there's just so many people out there, and I believe everyone has a story to share. And as I launched my book, actually, I found that I didn't get any podcasts reaching out to me, and I did a lot to market it and got bestseller status and on Amazon, a lot of categories. And so it was very interesting to me that no one reached out to me, and I started to discover, hey, it just doesn't happen that way. And it led me to the podcast that I now run. It's called Daily Authors, and I interview an author pretty much every single day, talk to authors every day, from New York Times bestsellers to just anyone that I feel has a great story on Amazon when I look on there, especially in the self-help category. And now I help authors try to get their stories out there through podcasting and my podcast, and help them get on podcasts. And then I also help people who just feel like they have a story to share that story, write a book, and get that message out there.
So the big thing is sometimes you have to
go through it to really see what you want on the other side. And obviously, you know, we have similar stories with health and wellness, but obviously mine took on a different form of it. And
Yeah.
obviously you had some personal and physical things that you had to go through to obviously come out on the other side and realize that, you know, you can accomplish anything if you put your mind to something.
Yeah.
And, you know, entrepreneurship is this invisible thing. You can't see entrepreneurship. It's not like when you get a job, you know, when we would walk into our gyms, we had a physical brick and mortar. We would put the key in the hole and we would turn it, unlock the door, walk in, and there we are. And
Yeah.
entrepreneurship, it's this invisible brick and mortar. It's this invisible storefront that you can't see. So I really feel that so many entrepreneurs have problems really creating that life because they can't see where they're going.
Yeah.
So number one, how important has your vision of the life that you're creating been for you in your success? And number two, for the entrepreneurs that are listening to this, that are having a tough time creating that vision, creating that story, creating that belief in themselves,
Yeah.
what is something they can do to start moving that needle in the direction of where they actually want to go?
Yeah. Good questions. Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, it's super important to have that vision, and it's unfortunate, you know, I've, I'm sure you've heard this as well, but, you know, Harvard did a study and I think around 83% of Americans don't even have goals, right? And I think it really starts there. You know, you got to take a minute, sit down and say, hey, 12 months from now, say, look back from the last 12 months and say, hey, what do I want to have accomplished in that last 12 months or 6 months even, and set those short-term goals at least, and write them down. And I do that all the time. I look at my goals, I write them down. Sometimes they change, but that's become a very critical part of knowing where I'm headed. And if you don't, then you're kind of like that, you know, ship off in the water without any sails, right? You're just kind of going to get tossed to and fro wherever life takes you. Someone else's dream, not your dream, but someone else's dream, you'll be part of that, and you'll just be sucked in, you know. So it's definitely been critical for me. And I didn't start doing that until I really, when I got sick, I set this huge goal. I was saying, you know, I had this young family. I didn't want to have to use the medications that were very, very dangerous. Actually, you know, they suppress your immune system. And I just knew I didn't want to live, you know, the rest of my life on medication. I set this big goal to say, hey, I'm going to live medication free, just going to change everything I'm doing and make it happen. And I did. And that was kind of the big start of like other big goals that I had, whether that was writing a book, podcasting every single day, and you know, getting on stages, those kinds of big things that I'd been wanting to do, but I had to write them down first and make them happen. So it's very critical to have that vision, as you said. And I think what people can do to start to, you know, really believe that, I think it comes down to belief, right? When I got sick, for example, everything I read told me that, Aaron, you should take prescription drugs because that's what everybody else is doing. And I believe that, you know, most people and most people who encounter are going to think just kind of average, right? You're gonna encounter people that are just living the status quo, and you really got to surround yourself either with mentors you're in connection with, you know, personally, or mentors. A lot of my mentors, I don't even know, right? They've written amazing books. You know, guys, I started reading guys like Tim Ferriss and Grant Cardone, and their books just really inspired me. The Magic of Thinking Big. I think these are the type of messages you need to surround yourself with often, so that you can just start to believe that it's possible for you.
Yeah, having a clear vision, and I shared this on a podcast episode that I was on, is that, you know, there's people that do these vision boards, you know, at the beginning
Yep.
of every year. And I kind of changed that a couple of years ago with my fiance, and we started doing happening boards. So
Mhm.
instead of envisioning what we want to happen, actually write down what is going to happen, and then creating the vision around what you actually see in front of you. Because if you can't see what's in front of you, if you don't have a clear vision of where you're going, you're never going to take those steps to actually create the life that you deserve. So knowing what you know now, what do you think was the biggest transcending moment or the biggest leap that you personally had to take in your journey to get you to where you are right now?
Yeah, another good one. I think the biggest difference for me, and as I look back, it's probably one of the biggest mistakes I made. There was you don't know what you don't know, if you probably heard that, right? But I love the quote by Warren Buffett. He says, the best investment you can make is in yourself. And I went through a period of time where I stopped investing in myself. And I just wasn't, I wasn't reading books. I wasn't getting that inspiration, that motivation. And to anybody listening, I would say that that's one of the best things you can ever do is just invest in yourself, whether that's going to a seminar, going to, just reading a book. And books are cheap, right? And taking a video course, sometimes you got to stretch yourself more than you think maybe you can afford even at the time, just to get the message. I remember going to a conference a couple years ago, and it was a little outside of what I wanted to spend, and I spent the money. I remember hearing John Lee Dumas on stage, and I'm sure you know who that is, and just really inspired me to say, hey, I could do a daily interview podcast. And I made it happen because I wasn't even podcasting wasn't even something I was considering at the time. And it's just been a great experience for me. So those are the types of things you need to put yourself, those experiences that you need to have in order to take yourself to the next level.
So how impactful actually has it been knowing what you know now about podcasting? Because you and I are both podcasters. We've both interviewed some incredible people, and we know the power of, and I remember listening to a podcast, and it was actually one of my guests, and she teaches a podcast course, and she was sharing that, podcasts are very intimate experiences with the listener because you're talking directly into their ears. And the woman's name, and my friend Emily Goff, she's amazing. And she says, you're intimately speaking right into someone's ears. You're not watching a video, you're not distracted. You're driving in your car, wherever you are, and you have your earbuds in, and that person is talking directly to you. It's such an intimate and powerful experience. So how have you found podcasting to be such a positive anchor for you, and what your podcast has done for those that you've either had on or those that listen?
Yeah. Well, I think there's a couple of things that have happened for me with podcasting. I think first of all, it's continued to fuel my excitement to get up every single day. And, when you see, just another best-selling or amazing author, and just another message of a book where someone spent, maybe years to write. And that's been super encouraging for me, just to be able to speak to individuals like that. And like you said, connect for that 30 minutes. And it's the type of investment I really want to make in myself. So it almost forces me to listen, right? And to say, hey, this person is either talking, they may be talking about forgiveness or gratitude, and all these messages just get, compounded and reiterated within myself to say, yeah, these are one of the type of people that I want to connect with. And then two, the messages that I want my mind to be absorbing every single day. So that's just been amazing for me. And as I mentioned before, that quote, the best investment you can make is in yourself. So if only you get that out of podcasting and talking to amazing people, I think it's totally worth it. I think on the, marketing side of things, it's growing for me personally. I've only been podcasting, and feels like I've been doing it for a lot longer because I do it about every single day, but it's been like 4 months. And I think just the connections in general, you never know where they'll lead. I'm getting, New York Times bestsellers wanting me to do joint webinars, and, just those opportunities that, hey, if I'd never reached out and never connected, I would never have gotten that opportunity. So I think you never know where it can lead. And of course, as you grow a podcast, you're going to get, more of an audience and more downloads. And that can be a a lead into whatever other services you might be selling, right? So I think that's also been a big part of. I do a lot of one-on-one coaching, so that's helped me out a lot.
So, you mentioned twice now, the greatest investment that you can make is in yourself. And I think a lot of network marketers, a lot of entrepreneurs, they're waiting for the money to actually be there that they can afford the investment. And sometimes, and a lot of the times, you and I both, you have to invest when the money is not there to create the flow of the money to come back.
Yeah.
So what's your message to the listeners that are in that place and space where they're saving up money, they're putting money aside, they're waiting for the perfect moment until the plate has become clear where they actually can focus the time, the energy, the effort, and put the money into what they want to invest in? What is your message to those individuals?
Well, I would say that don't don't let the waiting keep you from the success that you could achieve even sooner. I think it sometimes, I don't know everybody's situation, but for me personally, I've had to really stretch, you know not even feeling like I could afford it, sometimes putting it on credit cards and feeling like, hey, you know what, this might take me to that next level. And the investments I feel like I've made have done that. I don't feel like I'd be here having the life I live now without having invested there. And I'm not saying, go spend all your money and, be unwise with your money. You got to make that choice for yourself. But at the end of the day, there's going to become moments that maybe you need to listen to your heart a little bit and say, hey, this just seems like a great opportunity, and maybe it's going to push me a little bit, and I haven't saved quite enough for it. But you might just need to take that leap of faith that it's going to be something that's going to change your life. And if you go in even with that attitude, then it probably will, right? And that's what I'd say to listeners.
That's awesome. So what would you say in everything that you've accomplished so far and everything that you're working on now? What's the biggest lesson that you've learned in your journey thus far?
I think one of the biggest things I've learned is that for too long I've either not dreamed big enough, and or I've let fear stop me from the success that I wanted. And I just think that fear holds people back from doing so much, like writing a book or whatever else you want to accomplish, starting that dream business. And I equate it to a story I've told in my book around skydiving. I've been skydiving before, and I remember being just scared, really scared, all the way up until the point where I was going to be shoved out of the plane, right? And what was incredible is what I thought was going to happen is I was going to get out of the plane and just be totally freaked out. But then as soon as I jumped out of the plane, I felt this huge sense of relief and calm, right? And so I was pretty surprised by that. And I look back on it and say, I think that's how a lot of what we want to do in life. I really wanted that experience of skydiving, and whatever your experience is, whatever you want in life, just rest on the other side of jumping out of that plane, and things for the most part will be all right. Right. I was strapped to a guy that had done 4,000 jumps, and, it would be a pretty bad statistic if we died at that moment. Right. And so I think jumping out on fear, and if you can think, hey, you probably heard this before, what's the worst thing that can happen, right? And a lot of times, most things we can recover from, even financial ruin, right? If it comes to that, it might seem like this huge thing, but at the end of the day, you got this short period of time in life, and you got to take those chances. Otherwise, life's going to pass you by.
So what was that fear like? What would, like, standing in that door, looking 15, 25,000 feet down?
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to explain, but have you ever felt that kind of fear before?
Now, the only thing I can probably equate it to is this happened actually this last weekend. My son and we were all playing at this public playground. And so if there's any parents listening, this might relate. You might relate to this. I turned around to get my daughter for literally like 5 seconds. Before I knew it, I turned back around to look for my son, who was only 3 years old, and he was totally gone. And he was playing with this other this other boy about his same age, and the other father was coming over to me like, where our kids go? And I just freaked out. So to me, that was a similar fear of what I had jumping probably out of that plane at that moment. Just, just didn't know what to do. It was out of my control, and just didn't have that control, and felt just a tremendous amount of fear. So if that helps.
And the boys were okay, obviously, right?
What's that?
The boys were okay.
Yes. They decided to discover them all there where we were at. So they we found them. A good Samaritan actually came over to me, saw that I was frantic, and said, "Hey, what's your son look like?" And he chased them down about 100 yards away by some stores. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
It's control is an interesting thing, and when you can't control something, when it's the unknown, it's a helpless feeling. I'm a father, and I can imagine, you can't imagine, and you don't want to imagine. But it's understanding that there's some things that are out of your control, but it's remaining calm, and there's a solution for all of it. So what would you say? Obviously, there's a lot of big things going on this year for you. What has you most excited about that you're currently working on right now?
Yeah, so a couple of big things that I got. I mean, I'm still building out my university and helping more people write books. That's definitely got me excited, and just pushing the limits of my podcasts. As you know, I don't think any individual is better than the other, and I'm just excited to talk to everyone. But I'm trying to push the envelope of reaching out to some of the people that have really inspired me in my life. And I think one big thing that scares me now is getting on more stages. And I know public speaking is a big thing or can be a big fear for a lot of people. So I always believe in your goals being something that you're afraid of. And if you're afraid, then you're probably on that right path. That it's something that and if it's something you want to do, right? So that's what I'm hoping to push the envelope for this year. I've got a big goal of getting on over 100 podcasts. I'm like 20 in already in January or so are lined up. So I'm feeling good about it. Those are just connecting with more people. I'm excited to talk to more and more people and see how I can help them, see how we can collaborate and just build some lifelong connections, hopefully.
Yeah, you're on your way. So for those that are listening that aren't familiar with your work and how you help individuals, how can people connect with you either online or on social?
Yeah, absolutely. You can just find me at Aaron Gendle, Gendle, pretty much on any social media platform. And then where I'm hanging out the most online is dailyauthors.com. If you want to check out my podcast, if you're an author, you can reach out to me on there and we can talk about you being on the show as well. And then you can find me at writeabookuniversity.com/free. You can get a free video course there that'll help you on your journey to writing your book and leaving your legacy.
Beautiful. So, brother, last question before we sign off. There's no wrong answer because this is what it means to you. So, knowing what you know now and how you're living your life and where you're going moving forward, what does success truly mean to you?
Yeah, it's a good one. I think success to me means living a life that you're excited to wake up every day. And a big part of that, I believe, still for me is health. That pretty much comes number one with my family. And yeah, I really enjoy just being able to wake up in the morning and say, hey, I've got all these amazing things happening. I'm talking to all these amazing people and just being excited. And, for me and personally, I don't think about retirement or anything like that. I just think about how many more people can I help and how many more people can they help change the world. And it just gets me really pumped up. So I think that's success for me.
That's what it's all about. Giving as much as you can. When you give, you get, and vice versa. And I think you're doing an amazing job of that. And just grateful for you and the friendship that we've been building and the opportunity that you gave me to be on yours, and now the opportunity for you to come on mine. And I know the audience is going to take so much away from this because we really could live life by design if we choose to. And I think you're an absolute prime example of that. So just thank you for your time, your energy, the love and the heart that you brought to this episode, and just grateful for you.
Hey, man, grateful for you. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and hope to stay in touch.
Absolutely. So everyone, please leave your comments. Subscribe and like on iTunes or wherever you're listening to this. Also, take a screenshot, share this on social, whether on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. DM me. Let me know your thoughts. Give Aaron your feedback. Connect with him. All that information is going to be in the show notes. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you again so much for checking out this week's episode. And if you can, head over to iTunes, search for Network Marketing Made Simple, leave me a 5-star rating, basic review. I would be grateful for all of the support you guys can give me. And again, if you'd be interested in learning more how to utilize LinkedIn to grow your business, your brand, and your bank account, head over to my website, www.scottaaron.net. Fill out the form for your free 15-minute discovery call so I can learn more about you, your business, and how we can work together. And again, thank you guys so much. Grateful for you all, and I'll see you next time.